what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
This is The Writer's Voice, a podcast collaboration between themesh.tv and Lenoir-Rhyne University, a spotlight on writing talent in Western North Carolina.
Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of The Writer's Voice here on the Mesh Podcast Network. Today on The Writer's Voice, our guest is Haley Wilkins, a senior English major at Lenoir-Rhyne. Thank you for joining us today, Haley.
No problem.
Haley shared a little bio with us, and I'm going to share it with you. Haley's poetry has been published on her University Student Spotlight Board, has been asked to read her works in various poetry readings on campus. She's also tried her hand in other forms of writing, both academic, mostly focused on the correlation between written and spoken word poetry and their effects on the confidence in high school students. She has also written opinion pieces on websites such as The Odyssey. Haley quotes, "Writing has always been an outlet for me. I've kept some form of diary or journal since elementary school. It's my safe space, my therapy, my way of creating a voice." Speaking of voices, thank you again for joining us on The Writer's Voice. We appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Would you mind sharing your first work with us?
I can. I'm actually going to start out with one. I've always identified more as an appreciator than a writer, so a lot of mine are quirky and just things I've seen and expanded on. So my first one is kind of more humorous, titled "The Breast of Wives and Women." When growing up, I saw the women in my family as goddesses of land and of sea, pale brunette beauties who shaped the very way that I defined women. There was nothing that they could not do. They would move mountains and carry weight on their chests. They were well-rounded in the ways of family dynamics, in love, in recipes, in secrets, and in underwire. They were creatures armed with boulders that defended me from monsters under my bed, in my head, and from my prepubescent insecurities, assuring me that filling myself with good will lead my molehills into turning into mountains of womanly landscape. So I did. And now I wait. For my knowledge of hoot owls to morph into hooters, for my love of the beach to create dunes, for my willingness to fight for others, to form into cannonballs, for the love I give to form places of rest, I work daily to reach this amount of womanhood, strive to follow in their footsteps, and to put things bluntly, I am still waiting for my boobs.
I see where the humor is in there for sure. Are those little inside jokes also with your family a little bit?
They are, yeah. It's kind of a weird gene that skipped me, and so that's what I always associated women with and womanhood and everything like that. So growing up, it was kind of me trying to find my place and taking the best of their personalities and forming it into feeling my insecurities for something I didn't see in myself, but I've always took assurance in, like I said, fill yourself with good, not with thoughts of body image and stuff like that. So
great. You should go ahead and share us the second one as well.
Okay. My second one kind of follows up with that. It's entitled Simply. A woman's work is often seen as lesser, unintellectual, and unimportant. Simple. But I have watched women, all of my 21 years of life, create work that is simply unfathomable. I have watched my grandma turn one whole chicken, a cup of flour, some milk, and a handful of potatoes into a meal that feeds a church for 200 people, simply because it's unkind to leave someone hungry. I have seen my aunt turn a ball of yarn into 2 toboggans to keep her 2 baby boys warm, simply because there's no sense in buying something that you already have. I've seen my mother's mother, 65 years of age, crawl under a heavy truck hood to fix a leak while 3 men bickered over what mechanic to call, simply because none of them were being paid until next week, and all it would take is just some tinkering. I have watched my mother chop wood for 2 winters, simply because she needed to keep her babies warm. These women did so much more than these acts, simply because they are women. You see, you and I we're both one of those works. For 9 months, women created us, working endlessly to form our fingers and toes, to sharpen our vision, to create hearts in us that beat, simply out of love. I have watched them swallow pride, spit out kindness, seen them stand up and mend others when no one else would, simply because of the unspoken bond of sisterhood. I have witnessed these miracles with both childlike wonder and adult admiration, and I can simply say that I am honored to start my womanly work.
So we can definitely see that your inspiration comes from the matriarchs in your family, for sure.
It definitely does,
right?
Yeah.
Do you have any other people in your family that you've drawn from that you've written pieces about? Or
I definitely have. My grandpa and I were so very close growing up, and sadly he passed away my freshman year of college. So a lot was written then. I still can't read without getting a little emotional, so
Sure.
we're going to avoid those for right now.
Sure.
But he's definitely a huge part in it. I have a very interesting family and its dynamics. My parents divorced when I was really young. Both my parents remarried at different times. And so throughout years, I've seen family dynamics pretty much just go into the wind. Mm-hmm. And so I've drawn a lot from that too. And that's constantly changing. So there's several works on it. But a lot of my poetry comes from family.
Right. I know in your bio you gave a quote that says, I try to allow my readers to fill my shoes. And you certainly do that. You paint a very pretty picture of your family. Would you like to share the third work with us?
I do. This one's more mushy-gushy.
Sure.
It's called Blueprints to Fingerprints. I used to think of home as a place, four-walled structures topped with triangular points, squared windows, each side having a rectangular door. Life changed that for me. No longer did I see home as a flat drawing. When I realized this, I was living in old rental homes, mostly bricks and sticks. Empty shells that kept me looking for anyone to call theirs. For fear of being homeless, I would stay. And then I found you, or you found me. A single bedroom fixer-upper, a white house with green shutters that welcomed me in. Both in tears and triumph, your structure is strong. Strong like the arms you hold me with. Your words leave fresh flowers on bedside tables, and laughter lights up room like grand chandeliers. Your eyes like bay windows where I can see a future. I'm not saying you're perfect. You have floors that sometimes creak from the past feet that have walked on you. You have doors that jam when I attempt to open them. But those creaks in your foundation don't always have to be from the ghosts that haunt you. They may one day be created by us dancing in a hardwood kitchen, or our dog scrambling on the floor when we pull into the drive, or maybe by the small pitter-patter of feet running down the hall. Home can no longer be defined as a sketch or a blueprint. Now, those pin-marked squares bend and curve to the shape of our embrace. Rectangles stretch out to form the lines of a road that I walk to learn exactly what home is. It is not a place, but it is a feeling.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Again, very vivid pictures that you paint with words. It's very, very great. So we'd like to thank again Haley Wilkins, originally from Albemarle, North Carolina, a senior at Lenoir University, today on The Writer's Voice.
Thank you.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.